Aaron Vale had always felt a restlessness that no mission could ever satisfy. He had flown through asteroid belts, navigated storm-torn planets, and faced pirates on the outer edges of human space, yet somehow none of it filled the void he felt inside. He was a man of action, skilled in piloting and strategy, but his heart seemed to wander into corners of longing he did not understand. That longing grew when the humans received the invitation to Scifi, a planet renowned for its beauty and the elegance of its people. Aaron had been assigned as a liaison responsible for escorting the Scifi royal entourage through the human colony on Elysium. 7. It seemed like just another diplomatic mission, yet deep down, he hoped it would be different. The day the Scifi fleet entered the orbit of Elysium. 7. The sky shimmered with their ship's iridescent light. Their technology was unlike anything humans had seen. The ships moved with a grace that seemed almost alive, reflecting the colors of the twin suns like liquid crystal. On the ground, Aaron stood at the landing platform, uniform crisp, boots polished, scanning for the arrival of the royal family. A crowd of humans and Scifi diplomats gathered in anticipation. Aaron had attended countless ceremonies, yet the tension in the air was different this time. Something extraordinary was about to happen, though he could not yet name it. The ramp of the main ship descended with a whispering hiss, and out stepped the Scifi royals. Their clothing flowed like liquid silk, adorned with subtle patterns that glowed faintly, shifting color as they moved. The aliens themselves were humanoid in shape, but their presence was otherworldly. Their eyes reflected intelligence and depth, their movements fluid and deliberate. Aaron felt a slight shiver run down his spine, though he could not explain why, and then she appeared. Princess Lyra. She moved at the head of the royal procession, her posture regal, yet not stiff. Her silver hair caught the sunlight and seemed to shine on its own. Her eyes, a rare shade of violet, scanned the human crowd with curiosity and subtle amusement. She smiled briefly at a child waving from the front row, and the crowd collectively held its breath. Aaron could not look away. It was not just her beauty. It was the sense of purpose, intelligence, and subtle warmth that radiated from her. Aaron's commander nudged him and whispered, "Bale, you're in charge of their escort. Don't embarrass yourself."
Aaron nodded, but his attention remained fixed on Lyra.
His training screamed at him to maintain composure, yet his heart thumped erratically. This was supposed to be a diplomatic task, a routine escort mission, yet he already knew that nothing about this would be ordinary. The next hour was a blur of handshakes, formal greetings, and polite conversation. Aaron guided the royal entourage through the colony, pointing out structures, technological marvels, and human achievements. Lyra listened attentively, her violet eyes meeting his occasionally. There was a sharpness in her gaze, a sense that she was not simply observing. She was analyzing, learning, and quietly judging. After the official tour ended, the human delegation held a reception in the Grand Hall. The ceiling of the hall was made of transparent durasteel, giving a view of the stars above. Chandeliers of crystallized energy floated mid-air, illuminating the room in soft, warm light. Guests mingled, and Aaron kept close to Lyra, ensuring her safety and comfort. He felt increasingly aware of her presence, as if a silent tether connected them. During a brief moment when the hall emptied slightly, Aaron found himself beside Lyra, near a balcony overlooking the city lights. The wind carried the subtle scent of alien flora from the gardens below. He cleared his throat nervously. "You seem interested in everything," he said, trying to sound casual. Lyra's lips curved into a small smile.
"I am. There is much to learn from humans."
And yet, she tilted her head slightly, there is also much that is not immediately clear. "I find your world fascinating." Aaron's chest tightened at the sound of her voice. It was melodic, calm, and yet carried an authority that made him want to listen to every word. "I suppose you find us simple compared to your people," he replied with a faint laugh. "We're still learning. Not simple, complex in a different way. You value courage, honesty, even when it seems unwise.
That is admirable. Admirable. The word lingered in his mind.
He had spent his life striving to prove his courage, but no one had ever acknowledged it in such a way. The weight of her gaze made him feel exposed, yet strangely safe. For a long moment, they simply looked at each other, the noise of the hall fading behind them. Aaron's thoughts wandered, unbidden. He imagined what it would be like to know her better, to walk alongside her not as a duty, but as something deeper.
He swallowed hard, unsure if he should speak.
"I wish," he began softly, almost whispering, "I wish I could marry her." He immediately regretted the words, but before he could retreat into embarrassment, he sensed a subtle shift. Lyra's violet eyes widened just slightly, a faint trace of a smile playing at the corner of her lips. She did not speak, did not move. Yet something in the way she looked at him made him feel as if his words had not been heard in vain. The moment was broken when a human diplomat approached, calling Aaron to guide the princess back to the formal gathering. He nodded, stepping back, heart racing, glancing once more at Lyra. She inclined her head in acknowledgement, a silent understanding passing between them. Over the next few days, Aaron found himself in Lyra's presence more often than expected. Their conversations became slightly longer, more personal. She asked about Earth, about his training, about the lives humans lived on their scattered colonies.
Aaron spoke cautiously, aware of cultural differences, yet he noticed her genuine curiosity.
She laughed at his stories about clumsy recruits, frowned at the injustices he described, and sometimes, when no one else was watching, she would offer a quiet remark that showed she had been listening carefully. Despite the formalities and the constant attention of diplomats, Aaron began to feel a growing connection with her. He noticed the small details, the way her fingers brushed a railing, the slight tilt of her head when considering a question, the way her eyes seemed to search for meaning beyond what was said.
He realized that she was not simply observing humans. She was trying to understand him as an individual, not just as a representative of his species. One evening, during a ceremonial dinner, a subtle commotion erupted.
A nearby diplomat, misunderstanding a cultural gesture, offended a Seraphist noble. The tension escalated. Voices rising, Aaron moved quickly, using calm words and gestures to diffuse the situation. Lyra watched him closely, eyes reflecting both relief and admiration. She made no outward comment, but the way she lingered near him as the incident settled was unmistakable. Later, in the quiet of the royal quarters, Lyra finally spoke to him directly about what she had overheard.
"You handled that situation with grace."
Not many humans could remain composed under pressure. Aaron smiled faintly, rubbing the back of his neck.
"I guess I didn't want to ruin the impression you've already formed." Her smile deepened, the first genuine warmth he had seen.
"Your sincerity, it is unusual."
Rare even among humans.
"I find it intriguing."
The word intriguing seemed almost magical to him. His heart raced, yet he struggled to find words that would not seem foolish. He wanted to express more, to reveal the truth of what he had whispered the first night, but the words felt too fragile in the face of centuries-old royal tradition, of politics and duty. As he turned to leave, Lyra's hand brushed his arm lightly. It was fleeting, almost accidental, yet deliberate enough to send a shiver down his spine. "Rest well, Lieutenant Vale," she said softly. That night, as Aaron lay in his quarters, he thought of her endlessly. He replayed every glance, every word, every laugh, and in the quiet of his mind, the whisper returned. "I wish I could marry her." He knew it was impossible, or at least, that's what common sense told him. She was royalty, and he was a human soldier. The gulf between their worlds seemed insurmountable. Yet hope, fragile and persistent, took root in his heart. Something about her response, subtle as it had been, told him that the universe might not be entirely closed to the impossible. Aaron drifted into a restless sleep, dreams filled with stars, alien landscapes, and the faint echo of her violet eyes. He did not know what the coming days would bring, but for the first time in his life, he felt that fate might be aligning in ways he could scarcely imagine. Something had begun, something that could change the course of his life, and perhaps the fate of both human and Seraphis worlds. Forever, the days following the ceremonial dinner passed quickly, yet for Aaron Vale, time seemed to stretch and compress in strange ways. Every moment spent near Princess Lyra felt significant. Each glance and gesture weighed with unspoken meaning. He had grown accustomed to the hum of the colony, the chatter of diplomats, and the glimmering technology that adorned the city. Yet nothing mattered as much as the moments when Lyra's attention fell upon him. The humans had organized a tour of their research facilities for the royal entourage, showcasing innovations in energy, medicine, and defense. Aaron was tasked with guiding the princess, a duty that thrilled and terrified him simultaneously. As they walked through the facility, Lyra's gaze was sharp, examining every detail with a combination of curiosity and judgment. She asked questions that were not only intelligent but also insightful, revealing a mind that sought to understand not just the surface of things but the reasoning beneath. "This device," she said, pointing to a hovering medical drone, "it can diagnose and treat multiple conditions without human intervention?" Aaron nodded. "Yes, it's still experimental, but we've had remarkable success. It's designed to assist where human resources are stretched thin." Lyra's eyes lit up. "Impressive. Your species has a unique approach. You create tools not merely to survive, but to extend life, to preserve knowledge. That is admirable." Aaron felt a flush of pride, though he tried to hide it behind a casual nod. He had always been proud of human innovation, but hearing it acknowledged by someone of Lyra's stature made him feel both validated and nervous. As they continued the tour, they passed a chamber filled with holographic projections of distant star systems. Lyra paused, her attention caught by the intricate details of human exploration. "You reach for the stars, yet your understanding of them is still limited," she said thoughtfully. "There is courage in striving for knowledge despite limitations." "That is something I value," Aaron smiled. "We do what we can. Sometimes it's more about the attempt than the result." Lyra turned to him, her eyes searching. "And what do you strive for, Lieutenant Vale?" Few people had asked him about his personal goals in such a sincere way. Most inquiries were about duty, rankings, or accomplishments. He hesitated, feeling the weight of truth pressing against the walls of propriety. I suppose I want to matter," he admitted finally. "To be more than a name in reports, to make a difference in ways that count." Lyra's smile softened, almost imperceptibly. "That desire, it is honest." "I see it in you. There is a depth in humans that surprises me." For a brief moment, the air between them seemed suspended, as though time itself had paused.
Aaron's pulse quickened, and he realized that he was beginning to care for her in ways he could barely comprehend.
It was no longer admiration or curiosity. It was something stronger, something that made his chest tighten whenever she spoke. The tour ended with a demonstration of human flight simulators. Aaron could not resist showing Lyra the controls, allowing her to experience the thrill of navigating through simulated asteroid fields and dodging cosmic debris. At first, she approached the cockpit with cautious curiosity, her movements precise and careful. Within moments, however, a hint of excitement sparkled in her violet eyes. "You humans are reckless," she said, laughing softly. "And yet you call it skill. Fascinating." Aaron laughed with her, feeling a sense of connection that transcended language and culture. In that moment, the distance between human and Seraphis, between pilot and princess, seemed to vanish. They were simply two beings, sharing an experience, discovering common joy in a world of endless possibilities. Despite the growing closeness, Aaron could not ignore the shadow looming over them. Word had reached the colony that a rival Seraphis clan was attempting to influence the royal succession, hoping to secure the princess's hand for political gain. This news added a layer of tension to every encounter. Aaron found himself torn between his duty to protect Lyra and the impossible desire to grow closer to her. He knew the politics of her world were complex and ruthless, yet he could not deny the feelings building within him. One evening as the twin suns set over Elysium, 7, casting the colony in a golden glow, Aaron was called to escort Lyra to a private meeting with the human governor. The path to the meeting hall led through a quiet garden, one of the few places in the colony where the noise of politics and diplomacy faded away. The alien flora, glowing softly under the setting suns, gave the area an ethereal atmosphere. Lyra walked beside him, her movements graceful, her expression thoughtful. "Aaron," she said quietly, "you speak of courage and honesty often. Do humans always act in accordance with their values?" Aaron considered her question. "Not always. Sometimes we fail. But we try." "That counts for something, doesn't it?" Lyra nodded slowly. "It does. I see it in you. Even when surrounded by duty and expectation, you remain true to yourself." "That is rare." Aaron felt a warmth in his chest at her words, a feeling he could not name but recognized immediately. He wanted to tell her everything, yet the weight of propriety and the looming political challenges held him back. Instead, he simply said, "I try. That's all anyone can do." The meeting with the governor passed smoothly with discussions about interplanetary trade, security, and cultural exchange. Aaron remained close to Lyra, ensuring her comfort while navigating the formalities. She observed everything with quiet intensity, occasionally whispering questions to him about human culture, about strategy, about life itself. Their conversations were brief but charged with meaning, and each exchange left Aaron more fascinated by her intellect and subtle humor. As the evening drew to a close, Lyra requested a private walk through the gardens. Aaron agreed, sensing that these moments, though fleeting, were precious. They wandered among glowing plants and quiet streams, the light of the twin suns fading into the soft glow of artificial lamps.
"You know, Aaron," Lyra said softly, "there is something about humans that surprises me. Despite fragility, despite imperfection, there is courage and hope that shines brightly."
Aaron swallowed hard. I suppose that's what we're trying to do. Survive, grow, and find meaning." Lyra's gaze met his, steady and penetrating. "And do you find meaning?" Aaron hesitated, then shook his head slightly. "Not yet, but maybe it's starting." The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. Lyra tilted her head, a subtle smile forming. She said nothing further, yet her silence spoke volumes. It was in her eyes, the faint lift of her lips, the quiet acknowledgement that she had hurt him in ways no one else had. The days turned into weeks, and Aaron and Lyra continued to find reasons to meet, sometimes for formal purposes, other times for brief moments of shared laughter or observation. Each encounter deepened their connection, yet the shadow of political machinations remained. Rival clans whispered threats, subtle warnings, and offers of alliance, reminding them both that love in the time of duty was never simple. One afternoon, as Aaron practiced flight simulations in the training hall, Lyra appeared unexpectedly, watching him from the observation deck. "Your movements are precise," she said, her voice carrying a faint amusement. "Yet you make it seem effortless."
Aaron blushed.
"I've been at it a while. Practice makes perfect, or at least tolerable." She laughed softly, a sound that made his chest tighten. "You humans are charmingly modest. I like that." Later, they walked together in the gardens, discussing philosophies, dreams, and the stars. Lyra spoke of Serapha's history, her people's struggles, and the pressures of royal life. Aaron shared stories of human exploration, the challenges of the colonies, and the bonds he had formed with fellow soldiers. Each conversation revealed more about them, bridging the gap between worlds, forging a bond that transcended culture, language, and politics. Yet with every moment of closeness came the reminder of impossibility. Lyra was a princess, heir to a complex interstellar kingdom. Aaron was a human officer, with no title, no claim, no political leverage. The gulf between them seemed insurmountable, and yet, when their eyes met, the world felt smaller, more navigable. One night, as the twin moons of Elysium, 7 rose high above the city, casting silver light over the colony, Aaron found himself alone on the balcony of his quarters. He looked out at the stars, thinking of Lyra, of the brief touches, the stolen glances, the shared laughter. His heart ached with longing and hope. He whispered into the night, as if speaking to the stars themselves, "I wish I could marry her." And somewhere he knew she had heard him. The calm that had settled over Aaron and Lyra's growing friendship was not to last. Word came that a rival Seraphis clan had intensified its efforts to claim the princess for political gain. Rumors spoke of sabotage, intimidation, and manipulation designed to force Lyra's hand. The human colony received discreet warnings. Tensions on Seraphis were rising, and Aaron found himself caught between his duty and the impossible feelings he had for the princess. One morning, Aaron was summoned to the Seraphis council chambers. Lyra was already there, her violet eyes focused and serious. The chamber was vast, its walls inscribed with ancient symbols that glowed faintly with a soft, shifting light. The council members, each tall and regal, observed him as he entered, their expressions unreadable. "Lieutenant Vale," one of the elders intoned, "you have proven resourceful and brave in your duties here, yet the question remains, can a human truly be worthy of trust, of responsibility, and—"
Of the princess's confidence?
Aaron swallowed hard. He had faced danger countless times, but the weight of their judgment pressed heavier than any storm in space. I will do whatever is necessary to protect the princess and honor her trust," he said, voice steady despite the tension. Lyra stepped closer, her gaze softening. "Aaron," she said quietly, "this is more than duty. It is a test of who you are, of your character, of your heart. If you are willing, I will help you navigate it. But the trials will not be easy."
He nodded.
The first trial began the following day. Aaron was escorted to an ancient Seraphis arena, a place where the planet's history of honor and courage had been tested for generations. The arena was circular, its surface lined with strange, shifting energy patterns. Lyra explained that the trials were designed to challenge strength, intelligence, and loyalty. To pass, Aaron would need to demonstrate ingenuity, courage, and unwavering dedication. The first challenge involved navigating a labyrinth filled with holographic illusions and environmental hazards.
Aaron relied on his human instincts, observing patterns, noting inconsistencies, and carefully moving through corridors that shifted unpredictably.
Shadows loomed, whispers echoed, and strange alien projections tested his mind as much as his body. Each step required patience and ingenuity. Hours passed, and just when fatigue threatened to overtake him, he reached the center. There, a small pedestal held a glowing crystal. Aaron grasped it, feeling a pulse of energy. The labyrinth dissolved, and he emerged to find Lyra waiting. Her violet eyes shone with pride.
"You have passed the first test," she said, her voice melodic.
"But the trials ahead are harder." The second trial tested his courage under direct threat. He was taken to a canyon outside the city where alien predators had been released, creatures engineered to challenge even the bravest warriors. They were fast, intelligent, and relentless. Aaron had to retrieve an ancient Seraphis relic from the canyon floor and return it safely. Using his knowledge of tactics and human resourcefulness, he created diversions, used the terrain to his advantage, and relied on his quick reflexes. The creatures attacked from all sides, their glowing eyes reflecting hunger and cunning. Aaron dodged, ducked, and countered with careful precision, all while keeping the relic safe. The test was exhausting both physically and mentally. Finally, he reached the exit, relic in hand. Lyra stood at the top of the canyon, watching silently. When he approached, she offered no words, only a nod of recognition. In that silent acknowledgement, Erin understood that she saw more than just a human passing trials. She saw a man who would fight for honor and love alike, but the rival clan would not let him pass so easily. That night, as Aaron rested in his quarters, he noticed strange readings in the colony's security systems. A sabotage attempt had been made on the energy grid powering the Seraphis ambassadorial sector. The rival clan was trying to discredit him, to create chaos that would force Lyra's hand. Aaron worked quickly, using his skills to trace and neutralize the sabotage. His human ingenuity allowed him to reroute power, prevent catastrophic failure, and even identify the agents behind the attempt. By dawn, the system was stable, and the rival clan's plan had failed. Yet he knew this was only the beginning. The third trial was both subtle and complex. It tested loyalty, wisdom, and the ability to act under moral pressure. Aaron was placed in a room with 2 doors. Behind one was a path to immediate recognition and reward. Behind the other, a path fraught with danger, yet it would protect innocent lives. He knew that the choice he made would reveal his true character. After long consideration, he chose the dangerous path. The room transformed, walls shifting to reveal a simulation of the colony under attack. Aaron led his efforts, saving digital representations of civilians, coordinating defenses, and making split-second decisions. When the simulation ended, Lyra appeared. Her expression was unreadable at first, then softened. "You have chosen wisely," she said. "Your courage is not only physical, but moral. That is rare even among Seraphis." The trials were draining. Aaron's muscles ached. His mind was exhausted, yet he felt a sense of purpose stronger than ever before. Each test was not just about proving his worth to Lyra or her people. It was about discovering his own limits, and in doing so, becoming more than he had ever imagined. During a rare moment of rest, Lyra joined him in the gardens. The twin moons reflected off the streams and glowing flora, casting silver patterns on the ground. "You have endured much, Aaron," she said softly, "yet you remain true to yourself."
Aaron looked at her, exhausted but determined. "I could endure anything for you, Lyra."
"Not because it is a duty, but because I care." Her eyes widened slightly, a blush creeping across her delicate features.
Your words?
They are honest. That honesty, combined with your courage, makes you remarkable. The tension between them grew. The political pressures of her world loomed constantly, yet in these quiet moments, they were simply 2 people connecting beyond the boundaries of duty and expectation. Each glance, each touch, each shared smile became more significant, more fragile, more precious. As the trials neared their end, the rival clan launched a final, desperate attempt. They ambushed Aaron during a public ceremony, intending to humiliate him and disrupt the Union entirely. Armed with alien weapons and subtle psychic attacks, they were relentless. Aaron's training, courage, and quick thinking allowed him to defend Lyra, neutralize threats, and maintain composure. He fought not just for his life, but for the future he envisioned with her. The crowd watched in awe as the human faced overwhelming odds with skill and honor, turning the attempt into a testament to his capability and heart. When the chaos subsided, Lyra approached him, her eyes reflecting pride and relief.
"Aaron, you have proven yourself not only to me, but to all who doubted."
You have passed every trial, and yet, more importantly, you have remained yourself. He looked at her, exhausted, bruised, but alive.
I did it because of you, Lyra. Because I care.
And because I believe. Maybe this impossible thing between us isn't so impossible after all. She studied him silently, then, For the first time, her lips curved into a smile that was fully hers. Warm, bright, and free. You are extraordinary, Aaron Vale. I have seen your courage, your loyalty, your heart. And I trust you completely. For a long moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Politics, rivalry, and duty faded into the background. Two hearts from different worlds had found understanding, respect, and the beginnings of something deeper. As the twin moons set and dawn approached, Aaron and Lyra walked together through the quiet corridors of the palace. The rival clans' machinations had been thwarted, yet the knowledge of their continued presence lingered. Danger was never far, and the trials had not ended entirely. But in that moment, it was clear that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, side by side, united by trust and growing affection. Aaron realized, for the first time, that love in the midst of duty was not weakness, but strength. And Lyra, for the first time in her life, felt that she could choose for herself, guided not by obligation, but by the conviction of her heart. The night was long, filled with reflection, whispered plans, and shared laughter. The bond between human and princess had deepened into something undeniable, yet the future remained uncertain. Rival factions, interstellar politics, and the weight of two worlds rested heavily on their shoulders. But Aaron no longer feared the trials. He had faced danger, proved his worth, and discovered courage within himself he had never known. And as Lyra glanced at him with her violet eyes, her trust and admiration clear, Aaron knew that the impossible was possible. The trials had shaped him, tested him, and prepared him for the next challenge, the final step toward a future together. In the quiet of the palace gardens, with the first rays of Elysium, Seven's twin suns casting light on alien flora, Aaron whispered once more into the still morning air, not to the stars this time, but to her. I will not fail you, Lyra. Not now. Not ever. And for the first time, he felt certain that the princess had heard him. Not just the words, but the meaning behind them. The day of the final ceremony arrived with a tension that seemed to settle over the entire colony. Diplomats, nobles, and dignitaries from both human and Seraphis worlds gathered in the grand hall, its ceiling a sweeping expanse of crystal-like panels reflecting the twin suns. The room buzzed with anticipation. Whisperers of the previous trials, of Aaron's bravery, and of the rival clans' machinations had spread throughout the audience. Everyone waited to see what the outcome would be. Aaron stood at the edge of the ceremonial platform, adjusting his uniform for what felt like the 100th time. His heart pounded in his chest, a mix of excitement, fear, and hope. He had faced tests that challenged his mind, his body, and his character. He had survived ambushes, navigated ancient trials, and earned the trust of a princess and her people. And yet, the final trial was not a test of skill or courage. It was a test of choice, of honesty, and of the willingness to embrace the impossible. Lyra entered the hall, her presence commanding attention without effort. Her flowing robes shimmered faintly with the bioluminescent patterns of her world, and her violet eyes scanned the crowd before settling on Aaron. She moved with elegance and quiet power, every step measured, yet every gesture radiated warmth. When she reached the platform, she turned to face him directly. In that moment, the world seemed to shrink, leaving only the two of them, surrounded by starlight and expectation. The council elder stepped forward, his voice resonating through the hall. Lieutenant Vale, you have endured the trials of courage, wisdom, and loyalty. You have proven yourself before all. Now the final question remains. Do you declare in the sight of both your people your willingness to unite your future with Princess Lyra of Seraphis? Aaron took a deep breath, the weight of countless eyes pressing down on him. He thought of every step that had led him here. The labyrinth, the canyon, the moral test, the ambush, the quiet moments in the gardens where Lyra had looked at him with trust and curiosity. And he thought of her words, her violet eyes, the faint smile she had given him after every trial. I do, he said firmly, his voice carrying across the hall. I wish to unite my future with hers, Not for duty or obligation, but because I choose to, freely, with honesty and devotion. Then, slowly, Lyra's lips curved into a smile that was radiant and full. She stepped closer, her gaze unwavering. Then my answer is ye. A collective gasp echoed through the audience. Some Scifi's nobles stiffened in surprise, while others leaned forward, intrigued. Humans in the crowd exchanged astonished glances. The declaration was unprecedented. A princess choosing a human, defying centuries of tradition and expectation. Yet, in that moment, it felt undeniably right. The council elder nodded, a faint smile touching his lips. So it is. Let this union be witnessed not merely as a joining of hearts, but as a symbol of unity between our worlds. The hall erupted in applause, though it was tempered with shock and awe. Aaron felt a rush of relief and joy, yet the enormity of what had just happened sank in. He had not only proven himself worthy of the princess's trust, but they had together challenged the boundaries between species, culture, and expectation. Lyra extended her hand to him and he took it gently, their fingers intertwining in a gesture of mutual respect and growing affection. Her touch was warm, comforting, and grounding, as if it affirmed that they were not just participants in a ceremony, but individuals choosing a shared future. In the following days, preparations for their union began in earnest. The human colony and Seraphis delegates worked together, blending traditions in ways that honored both worlds. Aaron found himself caught up in planning, yet he was no longer anxious. The trials had tested him, yes, but they had also strengthened his resolve and deepened his understanding of Lyra's world. He felt ready to face whatever came next, not alone, but with her by his side. During a quiet moment in the palace gardens, Lyra approached him, her violet eyes reflecting the soft glow of the twin moons. "You have changed, Aaron," she said softly. "The trials were meant to test your limits, yet you surpassed even what I expected. You have courage, yes, but also wisdom, patience, and a heart that is willing to act even when fear is present." Aaron smiled faintly, brushing a stray strand of hair from his forehead.
I changed because of you, Lyra, because I wanted to be worthy, not just for the trials, but for you. You showed me what it means to be brave in more ways than one.
She stepped closer, her gaze intense. "And I learned from you as well. That it is possible to choose, to defy expectation, and still honor both hearts. That is a lesson I will carry always." The human and Seraphis worlds watched as their union was celebrated in a ceremony that blended elegance, tradition, and sincerity. Aaron wore the ceremonial attire of the Seraphis trials, modified to accommodate human proportions, while Lyra's flowing robes shimmered in every color of the twin suns. The exchange of vows was simple yet profound, emphasizing choice, respect, and devotion rather than politics or obligation. As they spoke their vows, Aaron could see the pride in Lyra's eyes, the trust, and the quiet joy that came from knowing they had both overcome obstacles together. When she placed her hand in his, the gesture felt like a promise that transcended words, that connected human courage with alien wisdom, uniting two worlds through shared conviction. The ceremony concluded with a moment of silence, followed by cheers and applause that echoed through the grand hall. Diplomats, nobles, and citizens alike witnessed a rare event, a union born not of duty or political calculation, but of choice, trust, and mutual admiration. After the ceremony, the newly united couple stood on a balcony overlooking the colony. The twin suns reflected off the buildings and streets, casting light on a world that had once seemed divided, but now felt unified in purpose. Aaron looked at Lyra, her violet eyes glowing softly in the morning light, and felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. "We did it," he said quietly. "Against everything, we made it." Lyra smiled, her hand resting lightly on his. "Yes, Aaron. Together. That is what matters." Rival clans still existed. Politics would continue to influence decisions, and both human and Seraphis worlds would demand their attention. Yet for the first time, Aaron felt that no obstacle was insurmountable, not when they faced it together. In the weeks following their union, they began working on initiatives to strengthen bonds between humans and Seraphis. Joint projects in technology, education, and exploration were launched, demonstrating the potential of cooperation and mutual respect. Aaron's human ingenuity and courage combined with Lyra's wisdom and leadership to inspire others, creating a symbol of hope and unity that spread across star systems. Amidst the public duties, Aaron and Lyra found private moments for themselves. They walked through the gardens at night, gazed at distant stars from the palace towers, and shared laughter and stories that were theirs alone. Each day their connection deepened, rooted not in ceremony or politics, but in understanding, admiration, and love. One evening, as the twin moons rose and cast silver light across the palace, Aaron spoke softly to Lyra. "Do you ever think about what life was like before all of this?"
Before we met? Before the trials?
Lyra nodded, her expression thoughtful. Yes.
But those days led us here. Every choice, every challenge, it brought us together. I cannot imagine my life without it, without you. Aaron felt a warmth that went deeper than joy. It was the quiet satisfaction of purpose, of having found a path that mattered. And I cannot imagine mine without you either. You've shown me that courage is more than facing danger. It is choosing, risking, and trusting. I never understood that fully until I met you. Their hands intertwined, and for a long moment they simply stood together, silent but connected, watching the world around them. The stars above, the city below, and the people whose lives they had touched all seemed to form a backdrop to something far more intimate. The bond of two hearts from different worlds, united by choice, trust, and respect. The story of their union became a legend, not just for humans or Seraphis, but for both species. It was a tale of courage, ingenuity, and the power of the human spirit, showing that even across the vastness of space, connections could be formed, and hearts could choose freely. In the quiet moments, away from the attention of the galaxy, Aaron and Lyra continued to discover one another. They shared hopes, fears, dreams, and plans for the future, knowing that the real adventure had only just begun. The trials had shaped them, the challenges had tested them, but love and trust had united them. And as the twin suns rose once more over Elysium, 7, casting light across human and Seraphis worlds, Aaron whispered quietly, yet with certainty, "I will always choose you, Lyra, and I will always answer ye." Together they stepped into the future, a future of possibility, unity, and hope. Their union was more than a personal triumph. It was a symbol of what could be achieved when courage, honesty, and respect guided the heart. The impossible had become reality, and across the stars the tale of the human who chose love and the princess who trusted her heart would inspire generations to come.